Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Well, welcome back to the concept of intelligence. As you all know that intelligence has been defined in numerous ways by psychologists. However, one of the most widely accepted definition intelligence is given by David Wessler. Intelligence, he talks about intelligence is that it is the aggregate or global capacity of an individual to act purposefully, think rationally and deal effectively with his environment. His or her environment. So, why I call this is one of the comprehensive definition, because it has a wide range of coverage of human abilities. First of all, it focuses on, it is the aggregate, it is the overall capacity of an individual. You cannot say that a person who is good in a computer is likely to be good in humanities, not necessarily. So, the human ability, the whole range of human abilities is very difficult to put them in a single framework. So, therefore, people call it is the aggregate of one's abilities. Second is to act purposefully. It is a kind of ability that has a purpose. So, that is why psychologists say all behaviors are goal oriented. So, whatever we do, every act has a goal, has a purpose, right? Then think rationally. Intelligence think rationally means, what do you mean by rationality? When you call somebody is thinking rationally, logically, yes. When you bring little bit of logic to your thought processes, to your thinking processes, we call it as a logical thinking. So, why we call it as a logical thinking? Because it is systematic, because it deals with facts and figures. We can calculate it, we can prove it, we can disprove it. So, any facts and figures based on our arguments is proved to be valid or invalid is called a logical thinking. So, that is why we call any systematic thinking, any logical thinking is related to intelligence and to deal effectively with his or her environment. So, what do you mean by dealing effectively with the environment? So, when you call that your behavior is effective, why environment is important for human behavior? Because human behavior does not exist in isolation. So, the context is more important than your content. Content is invalid, is meaningless unless there is a context. So, whatever you are saying, whatever you are talking, whatever you are arguing, does it have a context? Otherwise, people say, what rubbish are you talking? These all are meaningless. So, contextually your thinking should be appropriate. So, that is why, suppose you are discussing about intelligence, you should talk about intelligence, do not talk about politics. Then people will say, what nonsense are you talking? So, that is why human behavior is interpreted always in the context of any kind of environment, any kind of context. So, that is why these are three important characteristics. It is a global capacity, it is a purposeful act, it is rational and it is effective because it is in the context of a particular environment. But although it is a very comprehensive definition, it covers a wide range of human abilities, but it is very difficult to design a test that could capture global capacity. Global capacity is such a thing that is endless, but can we capture somebody's global capacity in one framework? It is very difficult. So, that is why some people say it is not feasible, but although David Wessler has tried to develop a adult intelligence test, but still the same test is not able to tap the actual global capacities, because East is different than West. Eastern perspective of intelligence is different from Western perspectives. So, then people started believing on the intelligence test or intelligence conceptualization given by E.G. Boring, although it is older than Wessler's. Why people accepted it more? Because every test has its own limitations. So, therefore, your intelligence is what your intelligence test measures, although it looks very simple, but it is with high morals. Why? Because you go for any intelligence test that will give you one impression about your intellectual profile. So, that means it gives you two things. It gives you the current status of your intelligence, and on the basis of that you can say, yes, this person is good in science or good in analytical ability, he is going to be better or to explore, to excel in these areas. So, therefore, you are talking about two things, present as well as future. So, that is why people say intelligence is what intelligence test measures, but actually intelligence is much more than this. Then other psychologists like Robert Sternberg and William Slater, they define intelligence is the capacity for goal directed and adaptive behavior involving the abilities to profit from experience, solve problems, reason and successfully meet challenges and achieve goals. So, this is little more complex than the earlier definitions, because it covers a wide range of domains, such as it is a goal directed, it is adaptive. Anybody who is intelligent can adapt to any situations, because we believe that a intelligent person is he or she who adapts as per the demand of the situation. That is why we always believe in the popular phrase that behave like a Roman when you are in Rome. So, that exactly fits into the adaptability of a person's involving the abilities to profit from experience, solve problems. In simple term, you can define intelligence. It is the ability to solve problems. It is the ability to profit from experience. You have lot of experience, but if you cannot make use of it, what is the benefit of that? Many people are so rich in their experience, but very unsystematic. That also makes them that foolish. Although the man is highly experienced, but is unable to express them in a systematic manner. So, that systematic presentation is also a sign of your scientific ability, what we call intelligence. Then reason out. If you are intelligent person, you will be reason. What is that? You will be reason. You will be able to distinguish what is right, what is wrong. You will be able to differentiate what is correct, what is incorrect. So, that is how we establish the relationship between weaker people and stronger peoples, and that is where intelligence matters. Then if you are intelligent, you can successfully meet the challenges of the environment. You can survive without food for 5 days, 10 days. When you intelligent people are determined people. So, but if you are not intelligent, you do not know, it will be difficult for you to understand the complex situation of the any kind of environment. People say, see, I am a pure Hindu vegetarian, how can I survive in a meat rich country like any Western country you say about. So, that is when your thought process are regulated in this direction, that is actually a sign of your foolishness. So, that means you are finding difficulty to adapt to situations. Here the food is not important, your goal is important. You have come here to achievement of certain goals. So, your energy should be regulated in those directions. Intelligent soldier and unintelligent soldier, you know, during soldiers training for operational effectiveness, you are a new soldier has been recruited to a defense sectors. During training you are dropped in the middle of a jungle, you do not know where to go, and they ask you, okay, you have 2 hours, because this jungle is within a radius of 5 kilometers. So, we are giving you 2 hours to reach our training camp. That is all. So, like we conduct desert survival exercises, you have restricted items for your survivals. Can you survive or not? Intelligent people survive very well. Unintelligent people, they look for using here and there. So, that is the difference between intelligent people and unintelligent people. Okay, going further, we will examine more of these natures of the intelligence. If you look into the nature and development of one's intellectual abilities, there are two principles actual. Very often we see nature and nurture. Some people are biologically blessed with certain intelligent genes. Now scientists are discovering the intelligent genes, identifying. So, if you are possessing certain intelligence genes, you are likely to be intelligent. Just like the son of the king will become the king. So, that is called intelligence by heredity. But most of our intelligence is nurture by environment. The environment, when we say environment, your school, your home, your all educational system, training, exposure, etc., etc. So, it starts with our family. So, that is why we often call family is the first school of a children to build up his intellectual profile. Highly intelligence presumably makes it easier to use words and numbers correctly. So, that is also in earlier times, if you look into the domain of IQ, we are going to discuss details about that. Initially this test was developed to examine the reasoning ability of a student. But can we apply IQ test for a graduate student, for a postgraduate students? Then how far you go on mapping their intellectual profile? We will discuss about that when we talk about the different measurement aspects of intelligence. Okay, the meaning of intelligence may vary from culture to culture. That is what the East differs from the West in the sense that we believe in integral intelligence, but they believe in systematic and cognitive intelligence. So, therefore, the concept of buddhi in Indian settings is much more wider and broader than the concept of intelligence in Western setups. So, that is where culture matters. In Western setups, the reasoning and logical part has been emphasized on to prove the concept of intelligence, whether you are likely to be an intelligent person or not. But here we go beyond proving something. It is realization. Sometimes if you are an intelligent person, you will be able to realize the consequence of certain activities. But in Western concepts, they only realize after testing the consequence of an activities. That is the difference between. So, that is why more of the things in Eastern settings remains to the perceptual level, where most of the things are proved at the action level in Western concepts. Okay. There are n number of type of intelligence or intellectual abilities available, we can say, but and to be very brief, I have just noted down here 5 kinds of intellectual abilities, such as cognitive, what we say, which is heavily based on your logical abilities, systematic abilities. Social abilities, the ability to deal with people, how you are dealing with people in social situations. Many people are very intelligent cognitively, technically very sound, but if when you want them, okay, can you present your ideas in front of 10 people or 20 people, they start shaking. You cannot imagine. That is why they have a lot of tremendous stage fears. They will say, no sir, can you ask it somebody else to present my ideas? That is where they fail in their social intelligence. We have already tested in many even many IITians. They have failed to be effective managers. Why? Because they are technically very sound, but their social emotional intelligence is very low, and that needs to be nurtured. I will show you one video clips maybe today or tomorrow that will signify the importance of emotional intelligence in our educational curriculums. We have training system to enhance somebody's intellectual abilities. We impart training to enhance technical skills, but there is no such training or education curriculum till date that will enhance the emotional intelligence of any children. And that is why for last couple of years lot of discussion is going on emotional intelligence, starting from school education to higher education till the workplace. Then we come to the practical intelligence. What is that? Is there something like practical beyond theory? Does any ability exist? Yes, this is something that no book is required to gain this knowledge. This is something we gather from our experiences. This is something we nurture through exposure. This is something you can exercise out of your experiences and intuitions, right? So that is why when you talk about emotional intelligence, emotion always attributed to our heart, and intelligence is always attributed to our head. So that is why people often say that when we take any kind of decision in our daily life, there is a huge conflict between our head and heart, and this head is referred to our hardware and the heart is referred to our software. So emotional intelligence is just like that. This is a combination of human hardware and software. The hardware cannot work without software, and software cannot function without a systematic hardware. So we are going to connect these two and see their effectiveness in human life when we discuss about emotional intelligence. Well, before going further, let me tell you there is something like artificial intelligence. This is upon seen in computer science research, a pre-planned program, pre-programmed software. You have developed a software, it will only follow certain paths, certain procedures to solve the problems. But the difference between human mind and computer is that there are two processing systems available in human mind or human computer, simultaneous and successive. But for a long time you have been seen that computer always follows successive processing. So because it is systematic. So what is systematic? Step by step. So you cannot have successive processing. But nowadays scientists are also exploring the possibility of simultaneous processing. Maybe very soon they will develop some new software that will solve these problems. So in a nutshell, these are 5 aspects of human intelligence, but there are many other intelligence, like there are many other specific in mechanical intelligence, visual abilities. You often say that somebody, recently a movie was Bollywood movie was very much hit in Bollywood sectors would call Drishyam. So do you know the importance of this concept? This is also based on intelligence. This highlights this movie Drishyam, where Ajay Devgan plays a very important role, leading role. It highlights the importance of visual memory in human actions. And see how he is changing all these stories all across among all these actors and actresses by giving them fresh and visual images into their minds, so that their memory remains intact, showing them the tickets, the other attributes of the sequence of events, describing them every day. So that means the memory will always remain fresh, so that whenever required they can recover it very faster. But actually such things did not happen, but it was happened in such a way it was planned. So that's why we often say the visual memory is more or better remembered than audited memories. There are many other experiments also available. Classic experiments have been conducted. What you observe in your eyes will be better remembered than what you hear and remember through your ears. Crystallized intelligence and fluid intelligence. These are two kinds of intelligence given by cattle. Crystallized intelligence are always in a momentary shapes. They keep on moving here and there, because the extent to which individuals have incorporated the valued knowledge of their culture. This is cultural influences that shapes our intellectual abilities. So, people often say that after certain limits our intelligence does not grow. Particularly people say that up to 19 years the cognitive ability reaches at the peak, and it remains almost same till 40 years, then it declines. But actually all these concepts are related to only cognitive abilities. You will be very surprised to know a old person, think about a lawyer, he is so informative, so logical, even true things can be proved as false, and false things could be proved as correct. How does it? It follows logical sequences, it manipulates information. But we often say that no, older people are less intelligent than younger people. But why it happens so? Because there are certain abilities that gets richer and enriched over periods of time, like your logical abilities, argumentative abilities may go down, or reaction time may be very slow when you go for older age, but you will be more informative, more experienced. The experiential knowledge will be higher, but the componential knowledge will be lower. So, that is where the crystallized intelligence focuses on the contextual knowledge or contextual abilities. The fluid intelligence is called componential. Our intelligence consists of what? Our attention, perception, reactions, memory, learning, all these things are involved in our cognitive abilities. That is why we all say these are in a fluid state, and they used to vary and they reach at the peak. Why? Because these are fresh at the early years of life. You can run faster, you can react faster, you can grab faster, you can memorize faster. So, that is why they are intact. But the moment you cross your teenagers, our physiological systems get slowed, particularly after 40 years. That is why you often starts losing your eyesight after 40. You know, that is a popular, it is a age of taboo for physical deficiencies. After 40 you start losing your eyesight, ear sights. Why? Because it is a natural decay, it is a stage of natural biological decay. So, that is why our perception, our sensation, everything goes down. Intelligence adult development. Intelligence, it has been found that some intellectual decline may be seen with age, but that stability and growth in mental functions also can be seen across adulthood, particularly for plasticity, multidirectionality, inter-individual variability. Let us see what these concepts are exactly. The plasticity concept is that the range of functioning with an individual and the conditions under which a person's abilities can be modified within a specific age range. A person who is more diverse in his approach, in his experience, in his exposure, will accommodate more, will modify more of his abilities. He is more open to experiences. So, it expands the range of your abilities. Multidirectionality, you will be able to use your available intelligence in multi directions. The distinct patterns of change in abilities over the lifespan, with the change patterns being different for the different abilities. So, when you gather multi type skills, you will be able to solve multi problems. So, the development and applications of intelligence expands in multifold. So, these are some of the studies that shows the developmental decline of human intelligence. Initially you are high, this is your crystallized intelligence, then fluid intelligence gradually goes down, because after when you grow older, after 40, if I ask you can you memorize these things, you will be no, I can't do this. But you ask a 12 or 15 years old student, it will take no time. So, that is why our students are very good to do well in exam just before 2 days. Yeah, because they have got so powerful memory base, they can digest unlimited information. But the same thing may not happen in the same way for an older person. He will think thrice to digest so much information in short span of time. Another is called inter-individual variability. It acknowledges that adults differ in the direction of their intellectual development because of individual difference and because of exposure. You are born and brought up in a different environment, she is born and brought up in a, so experience, opinions will vary from each other's. A person who is brought up in a open-ended climate is more likely to be open to experience. His mentality will be much more wider. But a person who is brought up in a restricted, very closed environment will be very reserved, will feel shy, will feel hesitant to interact with others. So that is how the intervariability takes place. Yes, when we talk about the measurement aspect of human intelligence, we have seen that there are two approaches in psychological measurements: ability based approach and characteristics based approach. However, characteristics based approach are applicable for personality related measurements, but ability related are mostly based on psychometric approaches. We apply psychometric principles to quantify human abilities. So some of the psychometric tools are what you call Osler's adult intelligence scales. You can also think about like RPM, SPM, APM. So these are developed by, these are called Raben's progressive matrices. RPM, SPM, standard progressive matrices. This is called Raben's progressive matrices. This is called standard progressive matrices. There is another called APM, advanced progressive matrices. So these are age wise restricted tests that is applicable across different age limits. Apart from this, there is a test called CAS developed by Das and Naglieri. J.P. Das is one of the famous scientists in the field of intelligence, has given a theory, a PASS model of intelligence. This PASS model called this is called planning, this is called attention, this is called simultaneous, this is called successive. So these are the four domains this theory covers, and this is based on the cognitive theory. And this planning, attention, simultaneous and successive is four important domains that covers the gamut of cognitive intelligence. And this test is very popular across the world, and it has been translated in more than 10 languages and has been very popular. Even you can find it in French, Spanish, Japanese, Korean, Chinese, etc., etc. However, in India also it is very popular, and this is also based on the psychometric principles. Apart from Raben's progression and this PASS model, this test is called CAS. The CAS is nothing but what you call the comprehensive assessment system. That profiles that I think more than 20 domains and subdomains of cognitive abilities of a person. Nowadays, apart from this, there are many other tools are available that measures adult intelligence tests. Well, if you look into the historical growth of the measurement of intelligence. The first test that was available in the world is called the IQ test. This was in fact developed by, the concept was developed by William Stern, but it was applied in school settings, and the concept was more popular by Alfred Binet when he was asked by the French government to look into the intellectual profile of school going children, why some children are performing better than others, and can we have different curriculums from different students, because there are some students are poor, some students are good, and some students are brighter. How to categorize students into different categories? What should be the basis? One best way to categorize students is called to assess their intellectual ability and put them into separate classes. So that is why a formula was developed, that is called IQ. IQ equal to MA by CA. MA is the mental age, CA is the chronological age, and it was multiplied by 100 because just to reduce the decimal points. So a child's mental age was measured by the number of items passed on the IQ test. Well, there are many theories, like content theories are there, factor theories are there, process theory and factor theory. Basically, in factor theory, we have G factor, we have Thurston's 7 primary mental abilities, we have Howard Gardner's multiple theory of intelligence, we have a structure of intelligence given by Guilford that measures around, I think in recently it has gone up to 180 factors, right. And there are information processing approach like Guilford, Piaget, Sternberg, etc., etc. So although there are numerous theories that exist, we will take up selectively very few of them, so that we can distinguish how they are different from each others and how they describe human abilities. We will take a short break, then we will come back. Thank you.